so that they can still hold on a big part of that market share. They continue to. So I think we got to start thinking a little bit in terms of, while Indian exports is how Indian managed exports, or Indian managed supply chain. I think that's one dimension that I want to bring today to the panel to look at from that point of view. Now, I want to also a little bit talk about, let's briefly look at the demand side. What has happened on the demand side, which sort of becomes very important in terms of what it percolates down to the manufacturing, how manufacturing has to play the ball, depending on the changes that's happening on the demand side. We have seen very clearly with the pandemic that there have been store closures. Some store closures have been forced because people have not been allowed to go out. There has been a lockdown and people have just not been able to go out. And what has happened in the process, that everybody has moved online. Everybody has started to shop online, if maybe not by choice, but by necessity, because the stores have remained closed.
Yes, retail is going to change in a very big way. We discussed about online. Customers are going to move online. They've realized that it's much more convenient. So that's definitely a big shift that's going to happen. Transparency is a very, very serious thing happening. So I think post the pandemic, there are a lot of things that manufacturers will have to really look at if they really want to gain ground. So I think one aspect is going to be transparency. They took a big survey in Europe and America, and they said over 50% of the customers today are very concerned about trusting the retailer that they're buying from, which means that they're very concerned about where the product is being made, where it's being sourced from, how ethical the factory is, what are the ethical, the SOPs that these factories are following for, human labor, and, whether everything is okay. What are the type of fabrics that they're using? Are they organically sourced, or are they have better cotton now? Are they more sustainable in nature? Because of course, sustainability is a very big thing. So it's become a very big thing. In fact, just 2 weeks back, Mango has listed all its supply base on its website. Every single factory that they work with has been listed. So I work with Mango, so I know that. That whole concept of trying to make garments and trying to make them here, there, trying to cut corners to try and make extra margins, that whole episode, that whole chapter is over for garment manufacturers. And whoever realizes that, the sooner the better, because this is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Because the main thing right now today is trust. And it's not just a trust between the customer and the retailer, it's also between the retailer and the supplier. So if we are able to generate that trust in our customer, I think that is the key right now. Because at the end of the day, what are we really selling? We are not selling garments. We are selling emotions. I mean, at the end of the day, you are selling an emotion of reliability, of dependability, of quality, of trust. And if our marketing team, or our, in most companies, it is the owner who's marketing. If we don't understand that very well, that what we are truly trying to sell to our customer, we are fooling ourselves by thinking we are selling a garment and we are trying to make X amount of money. We are in a business for the long run, and we are in the business to make long-term relationships with these buyers and develop these emotions with them. If manufacturers don't understand this, and they're still very short-sighted about trying to make an extra buck on a particular garment, or trying to quote unrealistic deliveries or stuff like that, it's silly, because it's not going to work. So I think that is one aspect that I think all manufacturers will really have to really dive deep into.
One of the things that Manish mentioned, and I think it made a lot of sense, that dimension, that perspective, was about giving a benchmark of China managed business. And it's not that, as buyers, we've not come across this. We have come across suppliers, who are Chinese suppliers, but then the manufacturing happens elsewhere, like Vietnam or, Cambodia, a lot of places. I think that as a retailer, I do not want to get into the nitty-gritties of manufacturing. I do not want to get into TNAs. Picking a leaf from what Sumit had said, that if I start doing that job, then who's going to do my job of being a retailer, of being a brand, of providing that, emotional joy of buying fashion by the end consumer. So somewhere down the line, like you have when you buy a PC or a laptop, you see that Intel inside. When you see that Lycra tag, we need we need manufacturing brands now. Whether these brands are factories, like Paramount, or these are systems like Sotex. But we need to create, a trust in the buyer, where we have this magic happening behind the scene by people like, Sumit and Sonal, to supply us that trust and confidence. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think very valid point, Kunal. When you talk about trust, the trusted, either I call it a super vendor, or you call it a platform like Sotex. You see, I think I've always kind of looked at, what has happened even within India when we want to look at other industries. I've always looked at IT outsourcing, and technology business. And I've always been sort of very impressed with companies like Tata Consultancy, TCS. You look at Wipro. These technology companies today service pretty much who's who. I mean, I'm sure we all know that today TCS is probably more valuable a company on the stock market, even when compared to IBM. So I think in India, there is a talent which has been utilized for making globally companies better and efficient. And I think, and they are gold standards. What you are talking, Kunal, is that when let's say when Airbus or where any big retail, whether it's Inditex or whether you take Marks and Spencer or any company which wants to outsource, they are doing more from a technology point of view today to India. And I think we need to build that similar gold standard, either a super vendor or whether you call it a super agent or you call it a manufacturing platform, which can be which is very reliable and which solves some of the problems or addresses some of the challenges being faced by the retail side. And I think these challenges will only increase because the market is going to get more and more sort of market is already getting more and more fragmented. It's already over the last 10-15 years, it has only become more fragmented. The choice that people have is tremendous. There are so many sort of Instagram influencer. There is so many new influence of people who have become as brands, and so there's a lot happening out there because of the digital influx. And I think that's where we have to take some of these cases like, as I said, Wipro and TCS, and see how we can build, whether it's a manufacturing brand or whether it's a tech enabler platform like Sotex.
If I might just pick up from what Manish said, I think, and those are good examples, I think we need to stop being defensive. I said earlier that textile and apparel is not rocket science. I mean, we can send a mission to Mars at a price which is lower than a bus ticket per kilometer and land, it's on target, on budget, and so on. We can surely fix the textile and apparel industry. I think it just takes a mission orientation. I think what I mentioned earlier about the fragmentation, the fact is that people are pulling in different directions. We need to be able to speak when the need arises. We need to be able to speak with one voice to make sure that whether it is policy, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is the trade agreements which are being negotiated, these are done with the entire industry speaking, not just one or two people or not just one or two sectors. When you look at some of the other countries which are competing globally, most of them during their economic cycle look at the textile and apparel industry as a very important tool to build and stabilize the economy. And I think if we look at realistically, if we look at India, and no offense meant to anybody who is on this platform, on Zoom, whoever is sitting in front of a computer or mobile phone and watching this webinar on Zoom, we are a very, very tiny portion of what India is. India still remains a very large very poor economy. There's a lot of labor. There is a lot of people who need good work. And the textile and apparel industry is one of the best ways to generate work for them and productive employment for people. And it is one of the best ways to actually spread the wealth across the country in a graded manner. So I think we need to make sure that we see this as a mission. It's not something, that this year is good or that year is bad. It's about making sure that this is built step by step. I think, good to have Sumit there because uh, you look at one company and you say, I need to move in a certain way, in a graded fashion. I need to put in the right tools. I need to make sure that my people are better equipped and so on and so forth. You can do it and you can achieve what many others have not during that last 15 years that you've been working at your business. Many other businesses have actually shut or, they've declined during the same period of time because they've not been able to face the competitive pressure. The fact is that there are many, many opportunities right now in the market. As long as we have a mission orientation, I'm sure we can make things happen. But if we lack mission orientation, or if we, just dismiss the textile apparel industry as something which, uh, is a sunset industry. I've heard that phrase being used, or an industry in decline. I mean, we'll never get anywhere really with that kind of an attitude. So I think that's something to keep in mind.